Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the fix and lease. You have myself, Amanda, who is a senior property acquisitions, as well as Fahad, and we'll be going through our new segment on our strategy on fix and leasing. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Let's kick it off. All right, just a couple of slides just to give you a bit of a background before we go into the details of fix and lease. So in the world of investing, real estate is a very popular asset class. But let's face it, there are issues here and there. Basically, people don't have an easy, low-cost, digital way to invest in real estate. As you might know, it's pretty restricted access, so buying real estate is limited to those who can afford it. Usually you would need to go buy an entire property, a couple of millions, and that limits it to just a few people who can afford that. And we're breaking that down to make it affordable. It's inconvenient, so the whole buying and ownership process is quite complicated. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of hassle, there's a lot of dealing with different third parties. So it's not the easiest thing to do. It's also concentrated. So even if you can afford to buy an entire property by yourself, in most cases, you'd be putting all that capital into one single property. So in terms of not putting your eggs in one basket, that's another problem that we're solving here at Stake. Another thing is transparency. So right now, buying a property is there's just a lot of information. There's a lot of decisions to be made at each step of the process. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of attention. And so what we're doing here at Stake is really making it very transparent in what's going on at each stage when you buy a portion of a property with us. There are also not many alternatives. So real estate investment trusts, aka REITs, they do exist, but they generally tend to fall out of favor because of the poor underlying asset quality and maybe not so good track record. If you own an actual part of a property, that actually does perform a lot better. Finally, the lack of liquidity. So if you own a property, once you're in, you're a little bit stuck. Yes, you can sell your property, but then again, that takes a lot of effort, a lot of paperwork, a lot of negotiations. So it does take a lot of time to actually sell your property if you own an entire one. And that's another thing that we're solving here at Stake. So since 2001, we have almost 5 years here at Stake. We've actually enabled more than 1 million people from around the world to invest in properties and in funds in fast-growing economies. And when I say fast-growing economies, so far at Stake, that's the UAE, that's Saudi, and who knows what comes later in the future. We're actually really quickly becoming the leading, the top, most preferred real estate investment partner in the world. We have thousands of investors investing with us on a daily basis. We have more than 1 million registered users. Countries from all around the world. It'd be easier to tell you which countries don't have many investors in because that's a smaller number. Loads of nationalities. We have paid so far 40-something million dirhams in rent, depending on how much of that those properties that you own, it's proportional. And I think we have funded over 1 billion dirhams worth of properties. So basically, we're moving fast. It's a fast train here at Stake. We're really opening up the world of real estate investing to everybody, not just that small 1% that can afford entire properties. So if you look at the chart on the right, that growth speaks for itself. Pretty fast quarter on quarter, and it has not been slowing down. In fact, it's speeding up. Okay, so investment strategy. What are your options? This is part of what this webinar is about. So far, we have 4 investment strategies, and the 5th is what this webinar is about. So we've brought investment strategies to Stake to help you make smoother, more informed investment decisions. So essentially, these allow you to invest in properties that align with your values, with your principles, what you want to invest in. Do you want to invest in a property that focuses on a higher yield every month, so higher rent, or do you want to focus on properties that would tend to appreciate more over the months or over the years? Do you want something more balanced, etc.? And some of you might already know the famous fix and flip investment strategy. This is for buying something that's undervalued and we renovate it and we sell it at a premium. So those are our investment strategies. You know, you align your expectations with the opportunity. You save time in terms of research. We've already done that for you, and they're easily labeled on the app. Now, for the fifth investment strategy, which I'll go on to in a second, here's just a quick snapshot of what we have so far. I mentioned them earlier, but just as a quick recap, capital growth, like I said, high appreciation potential. These properties are predicted to really appreciate over time. Not so much yield, but definitely a lot more on the appreciation side. High yield, on the other hand, these are properties which we predict will pay a lot more rent. So that's what yield is over time. Balanced is a mix of the two, you know, for those of you who like defensive strategies. And fix and flip, like I just said, we purchase a market undervalued property, we renovate it, and we quickly resell at a higher value. The nice thing about flips is that it's very fast turnover. So instead of the usual roughly 3 years a holding period that we have for other investment strategies or other properties, for fix and flips, it's quite quick, 1 year, 2 years max. So that's the appeal of fix and flip. And now let me move on to the next, the whole point of the webinar, fix and lease. Just before I do that, a quick snapshot of what we've done with fix and flip, just so you see our track record. So far, this particular investment strategy, fix and flip, has so far delivered our fastest funded properties yet. We've funded properties in 2.5 hours, in half an hour. I think we have around 10 fix and flips out there, and all of them have funded pretty quick. These are the fastest two. We have, I think, around 6,000 investors in fix and flip. So, you know, it's actually a very popular type of property. And in terms of the total fix and flip investments to date, it's around 80 million. So those 80 million are divided upon around those 10 or so flips, fix and flips. All right. So what exactly do we renovate and why? Just have a quick look at these photos. So at the bottom, you have the before photos. This is what the property looks like before we renovate. This is how we get it. And actually, these photos are the examples being shown here are actually a really good case. Sometimes we get properties that really don't look this good already. So that's where the undervalue comes from. But the nice thing is that after the renovations, they look like what you see at the top. Okay. So we work with professional third-party contractors, project managers, and construction companies and interior designers to actually realize what you see here in the after. And you can imagine how much the property price just skyrockets once we go from the befores to the afters. And that's the appeal of fix and flip. Here's some more photos. So you can see the before at the top, you know, not so great. That's why it's undervalued. But when you have Stake with the vision that we have, which is to really make it just out of this world, you get 3D renders at the bottom. So this is what we are planning to make it look like. And it's pretty accurate, pretty close to reality. Okay, so I'll go through a little bit of how Stake is involved in the renovation process. As you can imagine, number one, we find the right property. So finding the desirable areas, finding the right opportunities, meaning the right units, the right properties, understanding the conditions surrounding that property, and the fair pricing that goes with those properties. All of that needs a lot of local market expertise, and that's what we have here at Stake. That's what part of our value add is. We do all this research for you. We have our experts that already know the market, and that's where a lot of the value is added. Number two, the scope of work. challenges. So it's not just about the interior design. It requires permits, careful management. All of this is time consuming. It just takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of third parties involved, a lot of stakeholders. So once again, that is part of what we do. And finally, the hidden costs. So managing trustworthy partners, whether it's the contract manager, the project manager, all the other ones I'm forgetting right now. But forecasting unplanned expenses is pretty important. Because anything that's not forecasted for will cut into profits. So we do that forecasting for you. There is a renovation budget that's budgeted for the renovations that's completely dedicated to making these upgrades to the property, so that we're fully prepared and there's nothing that will cut into profits. All right, so the opportunity. So from our experience managing all these properties, whether it's fix and flip or not, is that a lot of apartments in the best locations around Dubai, sometimes they underperform. And that's not because of where they are, but a lot of the time it's because of the not so great interiors that go with those properties. And you can imagine how much potential there is in taking a property that's in an amazing location that has a terrible interior, and just revamping the whole place. So that is, in a nutshell, the opportunity. So with that said, say hello to Fix and Lease, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Amanda here to take you through the rest.
Hello, I'm my colleague Amanda. As I said at the start, I am the Senior Acquisitions Associate here at Stake. So my job is assisting in acquiring the properties that we then fix for you to lease. So I'll be going over fix and leases in particular. First, I want to talk about the rental demands. So when we're looking at them, we're looking at prime areas, which I'll be discussing later. But the reason that we're looking at these as fixing and leasing is because we're continuously seeing a high demand for rentals, especially in areas that are popular for high net worth individuals. While taking a villa and flipping it is a popular choice, apartments represent a really, really good opportunity for us to be able to renovate it. And then these high net worth individuals are encouraged to pay slightly more in their rent in order to achieve a beautifully furnished and presented apartment in a desirable location. So as I was talking about the areas, the top areas that we're focusing on is predominantly the Greens, Downtown, Marina, Palm. These are all areas that are very much known on not just on a UAE scale, but a global scale. What we do is we're offering an ideal quality to all of our investors. By diversifying in these different areas, we can hit a multitude of different people who need a work-life balance, who want to be close to where the hustle and bustle is for their outdoor lives, as well as close to where their work is. Now, for fix and lease, what we're doing is we finally made it available so that we're no longer losing out on those opportunities. It is a hybrid investment strategy that is combining the idea of the fix and flips whilst ensuring that you're able to get a rental income generating property. What we've done is we've projected this to enhance the rental yields whilst at the same time boosting the capital appreciation because we've done these cost-effective renovations. This is a nice hybrid model of what a fix and flip would be, as well as a long-term rental yield that you would have in these high valued potential areas. So how does it work? In the next slide, I'm going to talk to you about the timeline of this, but this is just a quick summary of the process. So what we do is we carefully source vacant, undervalued residential properties in either known areas, such as mentioned before, Marina, Greens, Downtown, or up and coming areas in which people are moving and wanting to relocate to. Then we partner with the experts to get the idea of what the renovation costs. And as Farhad explained earlier, we do a renovation budget within it to make sure that we can have the quickest turnover for these as well as the best quality at the same time. Once the work is complete, we then put the property back onto the market for a leasing period in which we're hitting the ideal target that we have projected in our valuation earlier. And then after some time, we then sell it at the best time on the market to get you the most desirable value for your property. So here is our two different strategies for our stake properties and how they differ. At the top, you can see the fix and flips. First up, we acquire them. Then we start the major renovations, which will often take a longer period of time because there's more to do. As we mentioned earlier as well, with fix and flips, we offer a variety. It's apartments, it's villas, it's townhouses. So depending on the property, it can take a longer period of time. Some will take around 18 months, some can take 2 years. It really depends on the property. Once the major renovations have done, we then put it online for other people to purchase, and then we exit. With fix and leases, ideally we're looking at apartments, but we do look at townhouses and villas as well. But what we do is we focus on acquiring it, then we start a moderate renovation. Because this isn't geared towards end users only, we're able to do a little bit more with our renovation for a little bit less. Once we've completed the moderate renovation, we then start the leasing, which is when you're able to get your dividends. So you can then collect dividends on a property that you've purchased under market and rent for a higher yield because we've renovated it. And then at the end of that duration, you can exit from it. Now, our fix and lease properties. This is one that we've got where you have the before and then the after as the render. This was our first fix and lease option, a 1-bedroom apartment that went online last week. We priced it as $2,153 per square foot, which was well under the replacement cost. It was a high floor 1-bedroom with partial marina and palm views. The renovation upgrades will include the granite cabinetry, oak flooring, and a walk-in shower. We furnished and reconfigured a modern rental appeal to make it appealing to a single individual for a Dubai Marina Tower. Now, this is our second one, which I'm proud to announce to you that will be going live at 5 p.m. today. So please mark it in your diaries. We have a prime location in Dubai Marina, one of Dubai's highest demand rental zones. It is situated in Horizon Tower, which is a well-established residential building known for its large units and walkable access to the Marina Walk. It's developed by Ima, which is one of the most reputable UAE-based developers, and has a strong record of quality residential projects. This is a spacious 4-bedroom apartment, which we've acquired which is 2,409 square feet in total. Okay, now it is your turn to ask us any questions that you have. Okay. So Mohammed has asked the question, do you involve interior designers upfront or after the acquisitions? So in the process of acquiring it, we reach out to a few of our trusted interior designers, and we're getting for them a renovation cost and an outlay. Based upon that one, the best option that has been pitched to us, which is the most cost effective and that we believe will work for the desired tenant, we then go with. So we've already got a very, very good insight of what will be budgeted and what will be needed before we even put in our offer to the seller.
Thanks, Amanda. I'm going to pick up Faizan's question here. In fix and lease, can we expect dividends? The answer is yes. So that's actually the difference between fix and flip and fix and lease. With fix and lease, right after the renovations, we seek to rent it out to a tenant, and therefore you will be receiving dividends for fix and lease. I can also take Mariam's question. She asks, how does this work for non-residents? You probably mean non-residents of the UAE. Well, works the same as if you were a resident for the UAE. There's no differentiation between, different countries, so you can invest in stake wherever you are. I hope that answers your question.
I'm going to jump in from Mohammed's question. What is the average annual rental yield? So we have a set target that we would like to work within. We're aiming for a 5.5% because these are matured areas that we focus on capital growth. We need our yield to be appealing towards it. So our ideal range is between 5.5 to 5.8% yield.
Danielle
Danielle
Sheikh
Sheikh
asks, can we
asks,
see
can we
the
see the
actual
actual
images of
images
the
of the
renovation?
renovations?
Danielle,
Danielle,
if you
if you
invest in that property as an investor, there is a place on the application where you would be able to see updates, images and videos and all that stuff. So yes, if you're an investor. If you are not, you can also just go to our social media and check out samples of other properties that have been renovated. I hope that answers the question.
Renata has asked, is there no returns for the period of 1 year during the renovations? Ideally, because these are moderate renovations, we're trying to keep them for a few months. So we want to keep it as quick of a process as possible before you can start getting your dividends. Whereas a fix and flip, you would be needing to wait until the property is fully completed before you can then sell it. With this option, we're trying to limit that renovation time to as fast as possible because we're not doing any major renovations. We're not cutting out walls, expanding, so forth, adding in pools or anything. We're just doing a moderate renovation. So we're trying to cut it as short as possible. Ideally, it would only be a few months before you're able to start getting your dividends.
All right. Seung Hak
Seung
Choi
Choi
asks, your
asks,
fund
your fund
target is
target
not
is
met.
not met.
How long do you wait? Definitely, we cannot wait for a year or so. Well, Seung, you won't have to worry. We typically fund, on a bad day, several days, and on a good day, minutes or hours. So if you open the app, you can have a look at how many properties have been funded. It's in the many hundreds. So definitely no stranger to funding in a very quick time frame. So that's not a worry at all.
An anonymous attendee of ours has asked, will this lower demands for other normal properties at stake? And is there a fear that other listings will not get funded? Because as we're expanding, we're wanting to provide a diversification of options for all of our investors. At the end of the day, we do everything that we can for you guys. So anything that we are requiring, it is always with the thought process of what does our investors want. We work heavily with each department to know what our investors are saying, what is working for them and what is not. What we're trying to do is to provide a diversification. So if you're more interested in these normal properties in quotation marks, then they still will be on the portal for you. We'll also still have our capital appreciation, our higher yields, our fix and flips. This is just providing the diversification for you guys. I hope that answered it. Thank you.
All right, we have another anonymous. What's the difference between the yearly investment return and projected net yield? The difference is that projected net yield gives you an idea of the rent, how much rent is going to get back. So it's basically rent, the gross rent divided by the property price. That's what the yield is. Investment return includes appreciation as well. So over the lifetime of the property of 5 years, on a yearly basis, what the investment return is, including appreciation. I hope that answers your question. I can also take Salman's question. When you exit the property, is the investment returned or reinvested automatically into another property? When we exit a property, you get all the proceeds deposited in your wallet, and then you can decide what to do with that those returns.
Hello, Will. I'm here to answer your question for you. Is it more difficult to fill such a big, in brackets, four-bedroom property compared to studios or one bedrooms? The reason that our first fix and flip was a one bedroom is because we wanted to provide the diversification, whether it be a single person who's working a desk job who has the ability to pay more for their rent in order to have an apartment that they like the feel of and they enjoy being in it, or it be a couple or a family. What we want to do is we want to provide diversity because the feedback that we get from the market, from the valuators, from the renovation team, from the agents, from the area experts, is that there is a variety of people who are moving to Dubai every single day. And when those people are coming, they have a variety of different needs. By acquiring a full bedroom, we're hitting the people who like the idea of having villas, but don't want to have to worry about having a backyard, having a pool. They don't have younger children that need that space. They have older children who need larger rooms in order to fit their beds in, who need to be closer to their schools and need to be easily accessible to transport and public areas. So by acquiring this four bedroom in Marina, we're able to hit as many of those points as possible for them. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
We have another one from Anonymous. This is a good question. I like it. Wouldn't this strategy only offset the cash flow that is expected with ready rental properties? So, Anonymous, the whole point is that the renovation done is aimed to increase its value, both from a several year in the future appreciation perspective, and also, very importantly, from the increased rental yield that it will demand once those renovations are complete. So that is all calculated beforehand, so that ends up with a higher such that it does not offset the cash flow. It's the net positive.
Thank you. I'm going to answer two questions. First up is, I'm so sorry, Othman. I just want to say thank you so much for your compliment. We really, really appreciate it. We're doing the best job we can in explaining it. If you guys have any further questions, please let them know in the comments and we're happy to answer them. The second one I wanted to do, Farhad's just typing, so thank you. I'm going to then answer the Mohammed, do you believe in case of a potential market correction, say 10 to 15%, which is coming in 1 year, do you see fix and flips carrying a higher return potential? What we do on Stake as a platform is we try and gather as much